Hello and welcome everyone, I am Madals and welcome to another StarCraft 2 England cast. Today I have got a TvP. It is between the red Terran player in the lower left position, Team prOpSnuffe, who is going to be up against FnticHarstem, who is of course the blue Protoss player in the top right, and therefore it should be pretty awesome. I'm looking forward to the map's Daybreak. It is a ladder game, so it is a best of one. It all comes down to this, and to be honest, I don't know who's going to win this. It should be pretty close, but let's talk a little bit about the matchup as a whole. TvP, very, very set in different stages, in the sense that really early on, you've got the threat of the Terran going for some kind of all-in, be it a 1-1-1, be it big Marine Marauder pressure, who knows. Then you get sort of into the stage where actually Protoss get a pretty substantial advantage with their gateway units being so much stronger and effective. Next, you hit the point where Stim is researched for Terran, and they then start wrecking gateway units, and they get a big infantry ball of Marines, Marauders, and then adding in medevacs to it. And of course, that is only counteracted by splash damage, so Colossus or High Templar with Storm and a combination of the two, which are then countered by the Terran with Vikings and Ghosts. So it is really the way we have to go back and forth between the two races, trying to make sure that you have good army composition to deal with what your opponent's throwing on you. That's especially true for the Terran, and this is why we're seeing quite an early probe scout, just to make sure what's the gas timings, because to be honest, from seeing no gas on the barracks down, you can assume that it's going to be a 1-Rax command center opening, which is pretty safe. And it's safe, it's economical, but it's also good news for Harstem, because it means that he is able to go for an economical opening himself. He probably won't go for anything too aggressive. I'd be very surprised if he were to, just due to the fact that it's tough to punch through the ramp, and for that reason, I doubt we'll see anything. There are some nice timings you can go for, though, if you want to try and punch into the natural, if you do see the command center go down. The map, of course, being Daybreak, means that Blink Ops play isn't too strong, because there's no cliff to utilize for it. So, all in all, as we're seeing here, very, very normal stuff out of Harstem. He'll probably go for his Nexus after this, I would imagine. Meanwhile, though, the command center is just getting chucked down, so a 1-Rax command center as expected. The usual follow-up to this is you grab 2 barracks and then 2 gas fairly soon. That allows you, obviously, to produce some more units, be in a more defensive position. If you feel slightly nervous, you can throw down a bunker very, very soon as well, which makes sure that you're not going to die to anything really unexpected. But obviously the SCV scout is on its way through, is getting some good information about what's happening, and will be able to make good deductive reasoning on how to deal with it, which is basically just get a lot of workers, because that is all you're seeing right now, is a lot of workers. A chrono boost is saved up, hasn't been spent yet, now going down on the Nexus, so it's definitely not going to be some kind of gateway timing push, because otherwise we would see the cybernetics core getting chrono boosted. But the thing that is slightly interesting is the fact we don't see a second gas, which does mean a gateway push is still possible. It's just highly unlikely due to the fact that obviously there's no chrono boost down on the cyber core, but it could have just been a mistake. But as we can see, enough minerals now pretty much to throw down the Nexus, so it's going to be a 1-game Nexus, which is all very, very good indeed. The bunker is there. That bunker didn't have to be rushed just due to what the SCV scouts saw. Importantly, the critical thing was the lack of the chrono boost on the cyber core. Meanwhile, though, there's the double barracks. The double gas should be following this up afterwards, and we're getting really quite solidly into what I consider the mid game now, where the early game is, in my opinion, when it's essentially what your opening is, and if there's going to be any aggression. If there's not any aggression early game, so you're not really sending units to your opponent's base, you can generally assume that it's going to be a mid game to late game engagement, because otherwise there's just no way you can pump out units after expanding until you get to really the 8-9 minute mark to actually hit a push effectively. So for that reason, and of course that's a really early timing as well, it's much more likely to be over the 10-minute mark. So as a result, Tech Lab coming down now starts Stim very, very early on. If it doesn't, I'd be absolutely amazed, because by Snuff's build so far, he wants to be going for Stim. He's playing more defensively. We've got the double gateway and the robotics facility en route for Harstem, and all in all, I would be very comfortable is in either of these players' situations at the moment. They've got important scouting information, they know exactly what's going on, they know that each other have gone for the expansion. I mean, the only person who isn't 100% sure is Snuff, but you can assume from what you've seen here and the lack of the chrono boost that you do have the Nexus on its way, so that is all fine. Meanwhile, Stim has got started as expected. That takes an eternity to build. We do, of course, have a second bunker coming up, which is quite surprising. I'm surprised there wasn't just well, the reason I'm surprised it is because the SCV came up and scouted and saw that expansion done. So that second bunker doesn't really make sense to me at this moment. But then again, Snuff has got good amounts of money chilling in the bank. Anyway, factory on its way down. The +1 infantry weapons on its way down as well. So upgrading early is something you see very, very often in this matchup, especially in the current metagame. This is pretty much the standard of all standard builds. 1 racks, command center, double racks, double gas, upgrades, and then start teching, because it makes your Marines and Marauders with Stim incredibly powerful, and it can allow you to do some great damage when that timing comes. And it also means that you're relatively safe against things like a Gateway Immortal push or anything like that, but none of that seems to be on the cards for Harstem at the moment, who is happily just getting out a couple of sentries. He's got his observer on its way over, the robotics bay coming down as well, so all in all he's teching up 2 Colossi. We do have the missile turret on its way down. That serves a dual purpose. 1, it denies the observer scout, which is good news when it comes in. 2, it means you're just safe from DTs, which are ultimately always going to be a threat in any matchup when you've got a Protoss there, because DTs can ruin your day unless you're prepared for them, and if you are prepared for them, they make your day, because then they're useless. Anyway, all of this getting scouted down nicely. Sees the tech lab still researching, sees the starport, sees the factory. The observer will now get spotted. Gonna dodge that missile turret though like a complete baller. Just completely avoided. That is pretty epic. Anyway, back to the Protoss side of things. More gateways being added on. We've got the double upgrades coming down. The Twilight Council as well. So that says to me, with the Twilight Council, that hey, I'm going to get Archons out fairly soon as well. So as a result, we should see maybe 1, perhaps 2 Colossus come out. Then the switch into High Templar, which we're seeing a lot of people do. The purpose of it is, why you get just the 1 or 2 Colossi first, is essentially once the Terran scouts it, they can overreact and build a lot of Vikings, which are then useless if there's only 1 Colossus on the field. Anyway, meanwhile, let's talk a little bit about what is happening. Well, few gateway units, a 3rd base on its way down for Snuff. That is quite important indeed, because so far Snuff is really just chilling here with Marines and Medevacs. He's got no... He hasn't actually got a single Marauder. He's not even producing any Marauders right now. That is pretty... Oh no, he does have 1. I don't know where that 1 Marauder is, but he doesn't want to join the fight. He's just chilling up there for the moment. But of course, the aggression could be pretty big here. The 2 Medevacs are going to be very potent indeed. And when we look at the defensive force, there's really not much. The important thing that I do see, though, is the first Colossus has just popped. That is going to help massively in defending this. The Marines do not have combat shield yet, and as a result, their health is very, very low. The 3rd base on its way down now for Harstem. And all of this aggression could just be gearing up. Well, it's a drop. I was going to say it could just be gearing up for multi-pronged attacks, and that is precisely what it seems to be happening. But in comes a couple of Zealots. These Medevacs are going to have to go into a nice position if they do want to engage. Sees the Stalker though, that's going to be the slight problem. The 3rd base may take a little bit of damage because ultimately there is a Marine here, but as we can see, nothing really defending it. The Colossus and a couple of units on their way down, but this Warpin is going to deny the drop, and all in all, this has done very, very little for property Snuff. Meanwhile, Harstem, he is exactly where he's wanting to be. He's got 57 probes to the 59 SCVs, which doesn't really matter too much. A lot of Vikings getting produced, as you can see. The Templar Archives just starting as well now. I don't think they've been scouted either, so that is good news. None of this tech has been scouted in the slightest for Snuff, which is really the lack of information he has, and as a result, that's causing him to really overbuild Vikings. But for the time being, he's still getting more, so his Viking count already at 4, going to be up to 6. He's not getting any more Medevacs out, so with just 2 Medevacs, he is going to struggle. He also doesn't have the Ghost Academy down yet, ready to start dealing with Templar, and as a result, he could run into some massive problems in the mid to late game. The only thing going in his favour really is the fact that he's got quite good income due to the fact he's got his 3rd orbital command down. The 3rd is also an orbital command, not a planetary fortress, so better income as well, unless there's multi-pronged aggression, then it could run into some problems. But Ghost Academy on its way. Sonic Storm on its way, and the 2 upgrades nearly finished up. Meanwhile, only got about to be 1 out for Snuff. He should have his 2nd engineering bay down now there as well, which is good news for him because that means he can start the double upgrades. He's got +2 infantry weapons on their way, and the Vikings trying to get a nice little position here, but they're not going to be able to get in there quite yet. But here comes some aggression. The Colossus is the only threat at the moment. The High Templar do not have Storm yet, and of course once that Colossus goes down, which we can see it has now, straight away the problems are going to be coming, and Snuff is pushing forward very, very aggressively. He's going to be able to do some good damage. He pulls back. The force fields are not on the money. They are delaying the push, but of course they are not stopping it, and that is the big problem. The Archon has been morphed in, but this damage is legendary, and straight away all of these gaming units are getting absolutely destroyed. Snuff, it's such an advantage right now due to the fact Marines and Marauders with Stim and Medevac support deal great damage. The only thing hurting him is the fact that he only has those 2 Medevacs, but, well, the sentries are all dead now. The pylon's getting taken down. This third base is going to take so much damage. The probes being forced to pull back, and there's nothing inside of a counter-attack. Losing this third base is a massive, massive problem. Snuff likely, well, he's not actually focusing it down, quite surprisingly. I thought he'd just focus that straight down, but instead choosing to pull back, perhaps not wanting to take that fight. He does have only, I believe it's 6 Marauders and a Marine in there, so his reinforcements are very, very strong right now. He's got 20 Marauders, so really going from Marine heavy to Marauder heavy. The Medevac's coming out. The Viking count only at 2. That could run into some problems when, of course, we do see the first Colossus on the field. Storm is finished as well now, but there's only a handful of High Templar. There's 2 in total, and 1 morphing into an Archon. That means this next wave of aggression could be absolutely devastating. We do have Ghosts on the way as well for Snuff now. He is finishing up the Mobius reactor. 2-2 upgrades are nearly completed, so that is good news. The 3-3 nearly completed though for Harstem, who isn't kind of boosting them for the time being. A drop in the main base is not going to be too effective just due to the fact that there is the Colossus and the Archon there, which will put a pretty quick end to it. But the third base is potentially looking a little bit vulnerable. Where's the Storm? There's a good Storm straight away doing some nice damage. But the Medevacs are there. There was no feedback on the Medevacs, which means they are going to be able to heal all of this up. And it's just a handful of Zealots who do have charge against a lot of Marines and Marauders. The 1 Colossus is out on the field. The second one just joining the main force now, and that second Colossus is really important. The third one, when it comes out, is going to be game defining, because that's the point at which infantry gets absolutely decimated. The Viking count up to 3, about to have the 4th one out. We do have personal cloaking coming down for the Ghosts as well, so that's nice. We're definitely going into the engagements. The 4th command center is down. The rocks in the center getting destroyed, and is it me or is that there doesn't actually appear to be any... No, there is 1 High Templar. I'm not quite sure where the said High Templar is, but the lack of High Templar means there's no Storms. The Ghost now coming in. The Ghost joining this battle really quite nicely. If a good EMP goes off, it could be pretty bad news, because there's a lot of Marauders in this force, which means those Colossi could take really large amounts of damage. But in come everything now. There goes down the great EMPs, knocking the shields up for the Protoss army, and straight away microing back, trying to get the Vikings to pick off the Colossus, and they do manage to get it just as they die to the Stalkers. Huge problems now for Harstem, because this is just continually moving forward, continually dealing damage, and well, even though we do have another Colossus joining the mix, 1 is not going to engage that well. The Marines and Marauders are being forced to pull back, though. It's pretty much a total Marauder force at the moment. We may see the 4th base forced to lift. We'll wait and see, depending on whether Harstem decides to push forward. He probably won't, just due to his unit numbers getting lower. And yet again, Snuff can't quite deal the crushing blow. The 4th base en route for the Protoss player. Resources lost 10,000 to 9,000, so not a big difference there. The Planetary Fortress in the center is a good choice, and we've also got well, the thing I'm really surprised at is that Snuff hasn't gone for a second star. Oh no, he has. There's a second starport. I was like, why is there not a second starport? But he does have one in there. No reactor on it yet, though. That would just allow him to ramp up the Viking production. But all in all, it's about to be the second Colossus out. 4 High Templar. What's the Ghost count like? Only 1. So he needs to grab a couple more Ghosts, and that is precisely what he is doing right now. Meanwhile, we have combat shield upgrade on its way down. Drop coming down from this Medevac. 4 Marauders are going to just try and kite backwards, allowing the Medevac to get out the way, but the Photon Cannon gets a couple of hits off, and as we can see, I'd say this is still pretty much in Snuff's favour. He's got a good army supply advantage by about 50 army supply, and he's got the worker advantage, I believe, or well, 70 to 73, which when you factor mules in, does put him slightly ahead in terms of income, and he's been slightly more cost effective than his opponent. Anyway, looking around, we do still have a defensive position in the main with a photon cannon there. I'm trying to deal with anything that could come in. Harstem trying to bait his opponent out a little bit. With the 2 Colossi and the High Templar, he may be feeling quite confident. He's got the Zealots running into the 3rd base as well. This puts Snuff into the position where he has to really start multitasking and dealing with everything being thrown at him. And these Zealots doing a surprising amount of damage straight away. They are absolutely destroying the 3rd. But as we can see, the main battle is coming on in the middle, and for the time being, Harstem happy to pull back because he knows he has done more than enough at this 3rd base. He's killed a grand total of 18 workers there. That's given him a very, very nice worker advantage, and the problem is going to come with where does Snuff go from here? He's lost a lot of his economy. He's got to rebuild those SCVs for a start, which he's not doing yet. He's trying to deal with these Zealots still. And he's got the threat of the main base in the center, which is slowly building up in army supply, matching his own, and it's a good composition. 3 Colossi and 3 High Templar. A few more High Templar are probably going to get mixed in, but the double drop coming down to the 4th is going to be able to snipe it off almost certainly, and with the fact that the medevacs are getting taken out, it is going to go down, but none of these units will get away. But losing the 4th base is definitely worse than losing quite a few SCVs. So these two Zealots are trying to do some damage and more getting warped in as well, which is a big threat. And all in all, we've got to see these two really try and pick each other apart, and I think Harstem has really shown that he's been effective by the fact that he's gone for these multi-pronged harassments. This Zealot harass to the 3rd has been absolutely essential to his comeback into this game. The Marines taking a large amount of damage. The upgrade advantage is still there for Harstem, who's getting his +2 shield upgrade, and still Snuff only on 2-2. He hasn't even started 3-3 yet, which could be a fault in his play, and essentially Harstem is using these Zealots, trying to bait back as much of the Terran army as he can, and at which point he'll move in with his main force, which it looks like he's going to do now. But the Viking count is very high. If they stack up though, storms could start becoming very effective. The MP is going to be the risk on the High Templar, but as we can see, the 5th base, the double expansion rather, 4th and 5th, getting retaken there by Harstem. These Zealots still haven't been dealt with. These Zealots have really been effective. One's got 12 kills, 5 kills, and as a result, more SCVs are going down. And as we can see, this 3rd base may even fall, being forced to lift. Is on fire, so if it doesn't get repaired quickly, it could run into some problems. More Zealots coming in, and yet still Harstem being forced to keep his units somewhere safe. We've got more units streaming across. Snuff, he's got to find a way to effectively deal with this counter pushing, because otherwise this lack of income from the 3rd is really going to start to hurt him. That command center is still on fire. The Viking count is extraordinarily too high, up at 18. 18 Vikings to deal with what is 3 Colossus is never going to be good, because yes, the Colossus will go down near instantly, but the fact there's High Templar and 11 of them means that the rest of the infantry is not going to engage too happily. A good way to fight here, you want to clump up into tight chokes just so the Zealots can't really engage all at once, and as a result, we do finally... Oh no, we still don't see an end to this. This is just ridiculous. So far, 32 SCVs have been killed, and that's what's hurting Snuff right now, because, of course, 5 bases are up at the moment for our Protoss player here, who's getting up his +2 shields upgrade. Meanwhile, +3 weapons half done for the infantry. These Vikings don't have any upgrades either, and Harstem upgrade 3-3. He's even telling his opponent, like, you should upgrade 3-3. You're not doing it. We really need to upgrade 3-3. And yeah, more Zealots still coming through. The bunker's come down, but against this many Zealots, that bunker's not going to have too much fun. It will be able to deal with it, but as we can see, these are just throwaway Zealots due to the fact that Harstem has just so much income at the moment. He's up at 2,000 banked minerals, so he can afford to throw away Zealots time and time again. He's now getting the +3 shield upgrades. 3-3 is, well, +3 infantry weapons nearly finished. Snuff's still not doing very much at all with this army, just keeping it chilling in the middle, and that could cause him some problems. We've got a handful of Stalkers coming in, though the High Templar, the Storm. Where's the Storm? High Templar, what are you doing? High Templar, are you going to storm? Oh, more SCVs getting taken down. The double storm deals lots of damage. The Stalkers coming in to clean up the rest, and of course this Orbit Command very well may not get away now. And as we can see, all of the infantry pretty much getting pulled back. That could be the open door. Harstem needs to move forward with his own army. We'll wait and see whether he chooses to do so, but it looks like at the moment he won't. The High Templar up on the high ground though, getting some great storms off, doing large amounts of damage, but still Harstem doesn't feel like he wants to move forward. He's happy just holding all of these bases. He's got a High Templar there. No High Templar up in the main though, in case of drops, but the reason you have a High Templar up there is just so you could feed back any medevacs or anything like that. But looking around, scans going down, trying to get a good idea of what his opponent is doing for the time being. We do have +3 infantry weapons now finished. We do have the Dark Shrine coming down as well now. Where's that? There we go. So the Dark Shrine coming down, more gateways being added on. The Dark Shrine is just really to allow more Archons to come out. But here we go. We've got engagement on its way. It wasn't the best engagement in my opinion. The Vikings super out of position though. The Storm's not doing great amounts. Not getting off some good damage. Another good Storm on these Ghosts. And the Ghosts are very critically low on health, and there are 6 medevacs, but of course that's going to waste a lot of their energy trying to repair all of that up. And all in all, I'd say Harstem probably now with the advantage. He's got 5 Colossi out. He's got 17 High Templar. The EMPs are nice at the moment. The Stalkers yet again coming in towards this third base, which does have the bunker there to defend. But here's the big engagement. The Vikings doing incredible amounts of damage to those Colossi, but the Storms doing even more damage to the Vikings for the moment. And that is the big threat. But if all the Colossi are taken out, the Storms are going to be limited. Snuff straight away trying to resupply as quickly as he can. The Storms are what's winning this engagement right now. A lot of Vikings taken out there. Down from, I believe it was something like 19 down to 4. The rest getting picked off, and that should be GG right away. Because as we can see, huge numbers of Archons morphing in, which is a great way to resupply. Spends a lot of you, gets you a lot of very powerful units out very, very quickly. They don't take bonus damage from the Marauders either. And, well, is Harstem going to go for it? It would appear not. He's got these Stalkers just still chilling here, attacking this, wasting mining time for Snuff, who's pretty much down to the 1 mining base, considering he's not mining from this one. He's just repairing it. And all in all, the Observer getting the good information out. We've got 3 Colossi being produced at a time. More gateways than I will bother to count. Needless to say, it is just a lot. And Harstem remaxed out. He's nearly at 100 supply advantage at the moment. And this third base gets taken out because auto repair was not selected to be auto repair. You can set that to automatically cast, but unfortunately it's not. The bunker gets taken down as well. And now it's a 1 mining base Terran against a, well, 2 and a bit mining base Protoss, who has got huge amounts of money in the bank. The DTs are still there. Of course, DTs could come in and ruin this party due to the fact that there isn't actually any missile turrets there for detection, but DTs instead look like they're going to go into the natural or just try and destroy everything. Mass DT is apparently really, really good. Meanwhile, we do have a mass engagement at the front as well. The Viking count is not high enough. The Colossi are able to do huge amounts of damage, and this is going to be GG right now. But the DTs are the exciting bit because, well, they are just destroying everything en route. And the Planetary Fortress is trying to do some damage, but the DT's still in there as well. The scan goes down trying to deal with those, but as we can see, the DT's destroying everything in the natural and main base. And yeah, Snuff down to 25 supply, which is a technical term for you're dead, and there is the GG. So guys, if you did enjoy that game, and guys and girls I should say, if you did enjoy that game, please subscribe, like the video, and leave a cool comment, and I'll catch you tomorrow for yet another new cast. I was Madals, thanks for watching, and bye for now.